Body shaming is defined as inappropriate negative statements and attitudes towards another person's weight or size. To put it in the simplistic form, shaming someone for their body type.
Right. Adding to that, it's also the way that someone perceives their own body and assumes that others perceive them the same way. So it's not just what is said to someone else. Those things can take form within the person themselves,
Right.
and then they can continue to body shame themselves.
Right. Let's get into some statistics.
91% of women are unhappy with their bodies and resort to dieting to achieve their ideal body shape.
Right.
Actually, only 5% of women naturally possess the body type often portrayed by Americans in the media.
Right.
What's even more alarming? 45% of boys and girls in grades 3 through 6 want to be thinner.
Body shaming statistics indicate that 94% of teenage girls have been body shamed.
Wow.
94%. Let's not exclude males, right? Nearly 65% of teen boys reported having been body shamed.
Wow.
Right.
Like, what are we thinking about when we think of their self-esteem, their ability to really come into themselves and kind of own their own body image and their confidence and all of that while adding school and things like that.
Right.
So a lot of these numbers also show us that what turns out happening is bullying, eating disorders,
Yes.
anxiety, depression.
Parents, watch what you say to your children.
Yeah.
Right.
When you plant those seeds in their minds at like 5 years old, 6, 7, and you're saying certain things like you're too big or you're too small or you're too this, that stays with them.
It does.
Because there's women in their 40s that are still dealing with that.
Right.
But I will also add, be careful what you say about yourself
Yes.
around your children.
Yes.
Because, you know, if I as a mother say, okay, you know what, I need to lose weight, oh, I'm too big, or I'm too fat, I got this big, whatever it is that I say, you know,
It's planting a
you know what I
seed.
mean?
That's
It's
right.
our daughters, our sons are listening to that,
Yes.
and then they turn around and as girls, they're like, I need to lose weight or I need to do this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
For me growing up, I was always on like the thinner side. So I got shamed for being too thin.
Yeah.
I developed like a complex at an early age because I was too
Yeah.
thin. Or in high school, I wasn't thick
Yeah,
enough, right?
right.
It wasn't until several years ago that I really honestly started to just embrace
It's true.
myself, embrace my body type, embrace who I was.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
crazy that it's affecting or it's happening to the little ones. Like that really, really makes my heart
Yeah.
break because
Yeah.
they're so innocent at that age. And then when they're growing into their developmental years into middle school, that's the last thing they should be
Yeah.
concerned about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any comment that we can think of that someone else says, like, oh, you are too thin, or you're not thick enough, or oh, your butt is small. For females, it's your chest is either too small or it's too big. Your thighs either too small or they're too big.
Right.
Like, it's what is
Thank
the
you.
ideal, you know? And so when we begin to inflict that on ourselves, it's the same thing. So then what happens? You begin thinking about, oh, I want to do implants, or I want, you know, I want to go down to whatever, so I look more like everybody else. What does everybody else look like?
Right,
Everybody looks different.
Each person is unique.
Every
That's-
single
And
person.
so you
Right.
can't compare yourself to someone else.
Why do people body shame?
I think it starts first with society's
Society.
image, but also just generationally, right?
I do
Because
agree.
sometimes in families you'll hear, oh, you get that side, or you get this side, and so then that continues, the cycle continues to trickle on, because if there's healing never happens, then it's passed on generation to generation to generation. You know, back in the day, remember when they wore the corsets? I mean, I remember watching some of the talk shows recently even, where the women were permanently altered to the point where their internal organs and all of that had shifted. And right, because they tied it so tight.
Right.
Corsets are not gone. And oftentimes you hear people say, oh, it's so uncomfortable, but they're still wearing it because, you know, you want to have that figure or be able to fit into that outfit properly. Right.
I also think it's the words that we use when we speak to one another. I mean, I've been in situations, I mean, guys have said things like, oh, she's a dime piece,
Girl.
you know, or she's shaped like a Coke bottle.
Oh.
And we hear those things and we internalize those things, and as a result, we want to live up to that image. there's no one with a perfect body,
Right.
and that's why you have to be very careful about the words that you take in.
As that happens, we continue to change what we do, because one second it may be that we're aiming for one thing, and then the next
Right.
second you're aiming for something else.
Right.
So it's like that shift continues to be a roller coaster that you never achieve. So
Right.
you spend so much of your time, energy, and your soul searches for something that it's longing for in the wrong place.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the role of Hollywood and social media.
When we talk about social media, people present what they want you to see.
Yeah, which may or may not be altered by a filter.
Exactly.
Depending on how much money you have, there's other
Right.
programs that can make that shape what you want it.
Right.
All that type of stuff.
Social media cannot be your reality. As therapists, I think we spend a lot of time encouraging our clients
Yeah.
not to spend too much time on social media,
Right.
because you begin to create a reality that's not necessarily your own.
Absolutely.
So-
reality.
Now, what has kind of happened is because of technology, there's just been more of a focus
Right.
on the appearance, and it's become stronger than it has been before.
And I just wanted to give more examples here. Criticizing others' appearance without their knowledge.
Right.
And then criticizing your own appearance, like we said, through a judgment or comparison to another person.
Right.
Or something like, girl, I'm so ugly compared to her, or something like that. And you may not think women speak like that, or are young girls, but they do.
They do.
So when we look at the role social media plays, even on individuals who, they have the money or they have the things or whatever it is, the pressure is on everyone.
Everyone.
So when you teach the lessons of body shaming, you really even have to go back and teach the lesson, like you said, of self-love.
Right.
Right? Because
Right.
if your self-esteem, your self-love, your self-acceptance
Right.
is not where it should be, then anything that sways you one way or another
Right.
is going to tilt you. And
Right.
so then the question really is, which could be a whole nother topic in itself, what are we embracing, sharing, and what message are we sending to our ourselves, our generation
And our
behind
women,
us, our women
Yep.
and our young men,
Yes.
about what is acceptable? How do we treat women? How do we value women? How do we
Yes.
value their image, regardless
Yes.
of whether, whatever size
Right.
they are?
Yes.
Right.
We don't want people to walk away saying, well, what I say is
Right.
directly, correlated to what somebody does. Everybody is responsible for their own actions,
Yeah.
right? And so the reality is, take responsibility for yourself first.